Ladies and gentlemen, in a world where Alec Baldwin is honored at movie events or award ceremonies after he accidentally ends a woman's life without the armor next to him and without abiding by safety protocols or the majority of safety protocols that he should have addressed. In a world where Hollywood gives the former New York governor Andrew Cuomo an Emmy after even Democrats in New York blamed him for 10 to 15,000 lives lost. Directly because of his decision-making, not a situation where Democrats and media just blame Trump for hundreds of thousands of lives. No, like he directly said, do this, and that directly led in certain facilities where people lost their lives. So that directly led to a loss of life. Andrew Cuomo's decision-making and Alec Baldwin's decision-making directly led to the loss of the cinematographer's life. In a Hollywood where you have producers that are well-connected with the Democratic Party serving decades now in prison, and Lord knows how many people have evaded prison time in Hollywood, you have now this latest development. Hit subscribe to this channel. I'll have a very important segment at around 8 p.m. Pacific tonight, 8:30 p.m. Pacific tonight on the Durham Probe Special Counsel. You'll want to see that. That's very, very important. And this is breaking news. People magazine. Academy accepts Will Smith's resignation. President says disciplinary proceedings will continue. The Academy of Motion Pictures Arts and Sciences has responded to Will Smith's resignation, so he resigns from the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences. This is unfortunate. And here's the issue. When I first did my segment on what happened with Will Smith and Chris Rock, I was trying my best to look at things from the perspective of somebody who just had a bad moment defending the honor of his wife, and I stated, it wasn't right. I don't think that, Chris Rock had any malice or there was anything nasty or mean-spirited in what he was saying. It perhaps was a joke in poor taste because Jada Pinkett Smith is battling, a serious issue. But at the same time, there was no malice. There was no negative intent. And I think that I wasn't really up to speed with the background in terms of the type of, let's just say, the type of relationship that has been described in the press and in media, with both of them seeing other people, for example. I don't want to get into it, but I really wasn't really up to speed with that. I kind of knew about that. I just didn't really I didn't really factor that into the equation. And hit subscribe to this channel, by the way. We're almost at 196,000 subs. We're on our way to 200,000 subscribers. It's because of you. Definitely be here for the next segment on the Durham Probe Special Counsel. Read my article in the Federalist, my latest one, on the upcoming and imminent stock market crash. We will have a devastating stock market crash. Everything from Bitcoin to the equity stocks are going to just completely collapse. Check out my segment prior to this one about yet another hoax and myth that media and news throughout the country try to promote. Definitely check out the segment prior to this one. I'm in full character, and it's awesome. Anyway, I think it's wrong. He just resigned, and I guess there are some new disciplinary actions. People are still talking about it, and it's definitely become a cultural moment because not many generations are kind of united by their love or appreciation or admiration for both people. Will Smith and Chris Rock are two icons or two legends in Hollywood and music and comedy. Chris Rock is just amazing. He's absolutely just amazing. He's one of the greatest comedians who has ever lived. And Will Smith is one of the great, great actors. And look, his music was fantastic, in the late 80s. But what he did was just terrible. And I didn't realize when I did my first segment, I knew there was something wasn't right. And I came to the conclusion, or I was thinking, the more I thought about it, the more I kind of realized that Will Smith slapped Chris Rock because of all the pain and frustration and anger he felt in media all those years, the same media that perhaps went after him and his wife and, whatever, gave their 2 cents pertaining to their relationship, which is a unique relationship. I'll leave it at that. So Will Smith was acting out of frustration. He was acting out of anxiety, frustration, maybe a sense that he had to defend his wife's honor, but at the same time, you're at an award show, you are being looked up to by a great many people, especially young people, and also you have a very peculiar arrangement going on. So some might say, well, what does that have to do with anything? It's like, well, it has something to do with it. I'm not going to get too far into the situation, but the other element here is that he would never do this to, for example, he would never do this to Joe Rogan, because Joe Rogan is a black belt in jiu-jitsu, taekwondo, and I mean, he can defend himself, and he can pretty much, it would be not a good situation. I question the decision to go after Chris Rock, and almost certainly his inability to go after somebody who perhaps could fight back. I'm not saying that categorically I know Will Smith wouldn't have done that if it was any other person, but I don't think he would do that with a black belt in jiu-jitsu or taekwondo, or I don't think, I would venture to say he wouldn't have done that with somebody who could completely, defeat him in a physical confrontation. I think that is also a key factor in how I'm looking at this and how a lot of people are looking at this. In addition, the more you think about it, the more it's just a sad commentary on today, the world we live in. Chris Rock is the hero here in a way. He's really a hero because it's even more heroic in a way that he didn't fight back, but on the other hand, he should have really fought back. But what was he going to do? Ultimately he did the right thing. Otherwise, the whole thing would have devolved into chaos. And that would have sent a terrible message to young people and to the entire planet. So Chris Rock was, the person who was the most virtuous, true virtue, like not the nonsense you hear on social media or Twitter or Facebook or whatever. He didn't retaliate and showed immense grace, even though, he kind of should have retaliated, but Chris Rock showed immense patience, grace, virtue. And what he did in a way, standing there and saying, wait a second, that was heroic. There was beauty there. At first I thought perhaps there was beauty in what Will Smith was doing, but then the more I think about it, it's just a terrible, it's like, how far has our country or society, fallen? I know you might say, that's hyperbole. It's like, this is an award show. It's like, who cares? But it's like, you have two people who, you have Will Smith, who is an icon, a legend in many ways, who should never have sunk to that level. Because it takes the entire generation who grew up with him, it moves us a little bit down lower also in a way. But then maybe Chris Rock brought us up. I don't know. I think that ultimately the hero is Chris Rock here. And what took place with Will Smith, it's just unfortunate. It's so unfortunate. It's just, I'm sure that Will Smith regrets what he did. And it just goes to show, like, violence doesn't solve anything, almost always. If for defending yourself, yes, you must. Second Amendment, always defend yourself from a person who attacks. But if you're doing the assaulting, I think that you're almost never in the right. And I don't know if anyone's honor was protected. Although initially I thought maybe that could have been the case. But anyway, hit subscribe to this channel right now. It's just so unfortunate. Give me your thoughts. Thank you.